I'm Pete Wright.
And I'm Andy Nelson.
Welcome to the next reel. When the movie ends,
our conversation begins.
Born Yesterday is over. To all the dumb chumps and the crazy broads, past, present, and future, who thirst for knowledge and search for truth, who fight justice and civilize each other, and make it so tough for crooks like you and me. Born Yesterday, Andy, 1950.
1950, we're kicking off our Platinum Performances, the 1950 Best Actress Oscar Race series. We've already discussed All About Eve, so that's not going to be part of this discussion, but it's kind of like the kickoff, essentially, for this, because we covered that back in our Bette Davis series, for which that film had 2 Best Actress nominations, for Bette Davis and for Anne Baxter. Now here we are with our next film, Born Yesterday. Judy Holliday won the Oscar for her performance as Billie in this. And so we're now discussing this as we kind of continue our steps back in time from 1925 from 2025 to 1925. Here we are at 1950.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do you stand on the movie?
Well, I guess my question for you before we jump into that is, this had a remake in the 90s, which seems like something perhaps we would have known about or seen. It had Melanie Griffith and Don Johnson. I don't know if it's where they met, but presumably, or at least the people knew they were together and so cast them together, and John Goodman. Had you heard of that one at all?
No. I mean, certainly I haven't seen it. I mean, I'd heard of Born Yesterday. I had never seen this one. Maybe I had heard it in passing talking about that one, but I had never seen either of these movies.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that's, I feel like we should have heard about that movie in the 90s, but it must have been one of those movies that, it wasn't received very well. I'm sure we'll mention that when we get to sequels and remakes, but...
Boy, you could totally see how Melanie Griffith would have been cast as that part, though.
You can totally see that. You can absolutely see that. Yeah. But so that was kind of it. I really didn't know anything about this stepping into it. I didn't even know what the premise was. And so, but one of our friends of the show, Curtis, who tunes in regularly, had posted a link about on YouTube the best actress Oscar race, this particular one, and that was an interesting watch to kind of get a sense as to the performances and everything. And so I watched that first to try to get a sense, and so I saw clips of it, and I was like, okay, I guess I can see why Judy Holliday would win. And then I started the movie, and it just I fell in love with her so fast, which is funny because I was like, okay, this is kind of going to be a Lena Lamont performance from Singing in the Rain, right? That's kind of where we were going.
I thought, I'm going to hate this woman for the next 90 minutes.
Right? That's exactly what I thought. It started, I'm like, okay, this might be hard to do for the feature length and not as the protagonist, as somebody we're meant to really care about. But I fell for her. I felt like the comedy in the performance, the timing of her lines, it was a real surprise. And I laughed out loud so much. Every time she would say something or make a move or a gesture or something, I just I was in it. So I really enjoyed my time with this film.
I did too, but it took me a bit to get there. Because it's, it's a movie that's a little bit hard to stomach emotionally in 2025, right? So I have to put my head back to realize what it was doing, and as a cultural fossil, right? It is this perfectly preserved artifact of what progress looked like before it learned to name itself, before we had all the words to define it. And it's an interesting mirror on this mid-century liberal idealism and gender relationships and all these things. But to watch it today without thinking about that is why am I watching this just straight up trauma between these people? Until you realize that this is a movie that's doing a victory lap around all of those things that a woman can can elevate her status without marrying into money or marrying into, prestige, that she can in fact distance herself from those things through education and make something better of her life, is really fascinating. Like, it's a fascinating step. I think her performance totally transcends the script and her voice and the first 15 minutes with her.
It's funny because like you say all that, and I kind of have to laugh because I'm like, it kind of is as relevant today as it was in 1950 with
as
lobbyists,
ever.
lobbyists and like the dealing with like these crooked lobbyists dealing with politicians and the wives that they have that they don't necessarily think much of and the abuse and everything. So it's funny that you say all that because I'm like, it didn't feel like a fossil to me. It felt kind of like, wow, maybe we need more of this right now. Maybe we need some actual people to like, hey, let's walk around and let's actually look at this Declaration of Independence and talk about what it actually means. Oh yeah.
Fair point. Yeah, no, it is very relevant today.
Yeah. I was laughing constantly through this. I'm like, wow, this is, I mean, I see your point. I totally understand your point with your comments about that. But at the same time, I'm just like, this is weirdly like a timely film to look at right now because it feels like it's worth kind of like taking a look at our government and not just our government, but just like educating ourselves. And there was a line, oh man, I wish I should have written it down, but that they said about the value of actually like, of learning things and like the importance of some of this stuff. And it's just like, yeah, this is all, there's a lot of people who could, take a few lessons from this film today.
Yeah. It's a good point and well taken. I think the piece that I find so, and maybe what you're describing is exactly why I find the movie what I would catalog as a rough watch, right? Because ideologically, Harry Brock is an insufferable SOB, right? Like, I hate him so much. And Broderick Crawford is amazing at being somebody that I just detest on every level. Anti-intellectual, anti-progress, it's just, he's a backroom dealer. He's a giant oaf of a man with zero sophistication and just all great timing and luck. That he got into his wealth through the business of trash, essentially.
Of junk. Right.
Yeah, right. And that says so much. So this is one of those movies where you have to watch and think, I hate that guy. I hate how I'm feeling about it. And then realize, oh, right, that's the point. Right. I'm supposed to hate that guy. I'm supposed to be in a place of true. And they go all the way to the point where he is physically abusing her. And you realize that they have set up who is in these movies in this period, who is normally the aspirational figure, right? The figure of prestige and wealth and champagne all the time, and the private elevator and the private flat and all of these trappings of success. And they've made him the antagonist bully. And we're supposed to feel that way. This is a victory lap of progress on screen at the time. Because of both what it's saying about the time and what it's saying about the other movies that are celebrating this kind of wealth and prestige. And I think that makes this film really sit in a kind of a special place.
Yeah, I think that there's something interesting about his character that, I feel like I should know more of Broderick Crawford, but especially because like the year before he had, I think, won Best Actor for All the King's Men, which is one I still haven't seen. But like he's great at playing this crooked guy who sees her as somebody who's going to bring him down. Like after that first meeting with the congressman and his wife, he doesn't recognize his own faults. He only recognizes hers. And I think that's a key part of his character that we get here. And yeah, like he's clearly a bully. He's clearly abusive. He's just kind of like this terrible person. And it's fascinating to tell this story about this woman who is like, had been a showgirl and now has latched onto this guy because of his money. I mean, the first thing we see with them is, they get out of this car. These cars are racing around Washington, D.C. They pull up to a hotel and they get out with all this luggage and everything. And she doesn't speak. It was great not having her speak for the first bit. And as we get to kind of understand her, and it's not one, not two, but 3 fur coats that she throws over the arm of the bellhop to take up to the room. So you're getting a sense as to like the ridiculous kind of this extravagant wealth that they have and throw around. And like that was a fascinating way to start this film and get a sense as to this relationship and who these people are. And you don't understand really who we're dealing with as far as who Billie really is until later, after William Holden has kind of come in and started working with her. And then we start getting a sense, like even when she first meets William Holden, and after Harry has hired him as Paul, after Harry has hired Paul and Paul goes to meet Billie, like one of the first things that she says to him is like, do you want to, what did she say? She says, are you one of those talkers or would you be interested in a little action? And I was like, wow, okay. Like this is an interesting message that we have here. There's this kind of relationship that we have between Billie and Harry. Now Harry's hired this guy to educate her. And one of the first things that she does is seem to say, hey, do you want to just go to bed together? And I was like, wow, okay. Interesting. Very interesting the way that we're setting this story up.
Yeah. What are we meant to celebrate? Who wins in that exchange? Who is our audience avatar? The one who just gets to go to bed and play around, or completely taken advantage of? Either way. Okay, so we also have, however, this sort of layer on top of it, which is our civics lesson, tidily wrapped in hypocrisy. like he's there, they're in D.C. because he's attempting to build a relationship with a political business relationship with the senator.
Yeah, right.
How's that hit you?
Well, that's one of the things that I found, very fitting for today. You've got this junkyard dealer who's got these, apparently has locations all over the place, as we find. And here he is trying to, we never really get into the nitty and gritty of what the deal is. We just know his lawyer is there. His lawyer feels sick about himself and having been doing this all this time, and set this meeting up to meet this congressman and his wife and to start cutting a deal with this guy to essentially get more of what he's after. It's very crooked. Like the way that I saw it is like, he's very crooked. He's trying to get this congressman. It's interesting. You talk about kind of like the history lesson and everything with the kind of the U.S., and I feel like it's interesting. I feel like there's a little bit of a Frank Capra-esque view, like Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, of what the ideals of Washington should be like that we have here. Paul very much represents that as he takes Billie around and shows her all these different places in Washington, whether it's the I can't remember the buildings that they went to. Did they go to Monticello, or they went somewhere that's Thomas Jefferson's place? They go Lincoln Memorial. They go, here it is, Lincoln Memorial, National Gallery of Art, Jefferson Memorial, Library of Congress. And
she has her silent walking montage,
right.
down the
we have to have the little learning montage with the patriotic music playing. And so we kind of get that sense that feels it felt very Frank Capra-esque.
Yeah.
But post World War II, I'm like, okay, I can see where they're coming, wanting to kind of like have this celebratory feel of what the United States is all about, you know? And so I was like, okay, I get it. It was, it was a little much, but again, because of the time, I felt it was fitting and it was fine. The fact that we have our bad apple, Harry, trying to influence a congressman who doesn't seem to sway, that, if anything, felt a little false. Maybe that's just through today's eyes, though.
Well, there's a great speech by his attorney who says, you know, the swayable Congress members of Congress don't come along very often, right?
Yeah.
Like the guys are here for their integrity. So once in a great while, you'll get one who will swing for you for money. But and that, like, does your stomach not turn when he's giving that speech? Like, that's horrific. It's horrific to hear him give that speech when you're absolutely right. That speech is the Capra-esque peak of the civic story in this movie, which is you and your junk dealerships cannot fight the ideals that we have set up in this great nation. And it is that maybe that's the part that feels the most fossilized from 1950 today, right? That feels like such a bygone era.
Well, but at the same time, it does make you wonder, surely, I mean, it wasn't true then either, right? And so it does make you wonder, is it fossilized or was it just Cukor and the playwright Garson Kanin? Was it a way to look at it in an ideal viewpoint? You know, like, where's the line there?
Yeah, no, you're right. That's a really good point. But I don't see a lot of movies and TV shows today celebrating the integrity of Washington.
Well, but again, it came right after World War II. So you can see why they would be doing that. But still, I just feel like even then, I'm wondering if it rang false, or I'm wondering if it felt like it was aspirational or something. You know, I'm trying to, like, I can't imagine people just were feeling like our Congress is always there for us. Or maybe that's just this modern cynicism that we've grown up with, because we have never seen anything post Nixon. Like, we've only seen post Nixon, right?
Yeah,
and so maybe that was the point where people stopped believing in this sort of idealism.
Oh, man, we are the ideological trash remnants of a bygone age.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Okay. I think that the general vibe of the movie, as we're looking at what Cukor appears to be trying to do, it reminds me that it feels like it has such a massive piece in the puzzle of American comedy, of feminist cinema, of ideological cinema, in a way that it surprises me that I had never been tasked to watch it before. It feels seminal in that way. And it's still a pretty simple story, right? It goes a few places. Mostly it's in the giant flat that they have. And
yeah, very much you can see the play at work.
Yeah,
here.
You could totally see the play. Obviously, it should be noted, I've never seen the play either. I never read the play. And I feel, yet I feel like the production itself had a sense of momentum to it, even just watching Crawford pace back and forth, that made it feel much, much shorter than its running time. Like it just moves this movie. And as a play, as an adaptation of a play, I didn't feel the time. The production just really soared. It
was, I thought it was fantastically crafted. I guess, Albert Mannheimer is who has credit as the screenwriter, but apparently George Cukor wasn't satisfied with his adaptation of the play, so actually had Garson Kanin, the playwright, come back in to re-adapt the play again because of the Writers Guild and everything. He didn't receive any credit. So that's always interesting. But I think between Cukor and Kanin, and I'm sure the editor and everyone else, but it was fluid, it moved fast. It's actually interesting because I think one of the things that probably helped this feel so natural is this is something that Cukor did that apparently, I don't know, I've never heard of this before or since. He did rehearsals of this as they were prepping it, but he did it in front of a live audience of people who worked at the studio to help the actors figure out which lines got the best laughs, after laughs to figure out how long they needed before they could start, in with the next line and stuff like that. And so it really helped them figure out the pacing, what was working, what wasn't. So I'm wondering if a lot of that is one of the reasons that this film feels so just naturally told. It moves very effectively.
God, that feels like such a Desi Arnaz move.
It's totally something you could get away with back in the studio era when you're just like, money wasn't something that people really had to worry about. The studio just had all the money. I mean, they did, but the studio, they're just like, hey, we need a few more weeks. And George Cukor was a known director. And so they're like, okay, here, take the time, do what you need to do. Yeah. It feels different that they were given this sort of breathing room to actually figure this stuff out. And it paid off. I mean, Judy Holliday is hilarious in this. And to your point, this feels like something I should have known more about. She is so funny. Her performance is just every moment of it is the way that she, after Harry is blustering and yelling at her, and the way that she's like, yeah, the way, even just that, when she she changes her voice to respond to him sometimes. Very funny.
She's very funny, but it's even more funny maybe that both you and I come into this movie thinking, oh, I'm going to regret my time spent with this character, right? Those first few minutes are a little bit rough, and I'm sitting thinking, wondering, how is it that she has such a claim? This ought to be a wild ride. But by that final exchange, when she finally says, I ain't scared of you anymore, Harry, I'm not scared of you. And we haven't talked about the fundamental gambit that she's playing with Paul, that she's not married to Harry, and he put all of his business dealings in her name as a way to keep him clean. So by extension, the attorney keeps saying, you got to marry her because she owns everything. And if anything ever goes awry, she walks with our business. And he doesn't want to marry her. He's dragging his feet. Well, that's the rub, right? By the end of the movie, she's able to take his business, and she tells him, I'll sell one business back to you, one junk lot back to you every year. Yeah. Did she say 900 lots?
No, I think it was 26.
No, it's more than 20. 26?
No, I think it was only 26 lots. Yeah, because
26
years is still a long period of time. Yeah.
I was thinking 900 years we're talking about, Are we in the heat death of the universe yet? I don't know. Anyway, that's a long time. And so she is going to maintain ownership, controlling ownership of his business for a lot of years. And I think that's a nice comeuppance. That was a satisfying comeuppance.
Well, and you didn't mention, part of the caveat of agreeing to sell him back one business a year is that he behaves himself, is that he is going to perform his business responsibly and no longer break the law, which, it'll be interesting to see how well that works for him if he's able to actually go clean.
I don't think he can. Because what is he doing really? He's buying off senators, through this junk business, but it's not the junk business that he's doing. He's a criminal. There's something going on. He's laundering money. He's doing something badly.
Well, there's obviously some reason that he's. Yeah, I mean, that's something we really never get a sense of, is what is the actual crime that he's committing in the way that he's running his businesses. We just know there is something. We don't know the specifics. And so it's fine. We don't need to know. We get a sense from Harry that he is bad, the way he behaves. It makes sense. It's no surprise, I guess, that he's doing it by scheming and through illegal means.
Yeah. I just feel like when he gets home, somebody named Stinky Charlie is going to come and say, how'd it go in DC? Right. Well,
what was it his brother that was always hanging around, who always looked like he should be drunk? He had the hat, like he was wearing he was wearing a fedora, but it was always like rumpled. Like he just looked like a total bum. And he'd always give him his what was it? Like a rum and ginger ale or something, some drink that I was like, ugh, that sounds awful.
Just bad. Yeah, I know. I think that was Eddie, and at one point they actually are roughing him up, right? They're actually threatening to rough Paul up. So it's clearly they're into some bad news. I don't see any hope that he's going to be able to go clean. Yeah,
which leaves Billie in a great position. She owns all these businesses, and he's going to have to go clean because he's not going to get any money out of it, is the thing. Like, that's the thing. Like, he'll have to figure out some way, or he'll just come up with some other schemes, and I don't know. But it'll be interesting to see. It would be interesting to see where things go from this point. Now that she's figuring herself out and in love with Paul and off to get married. How did the fast relationship between Billie and Paul play for you?
Largely unbelievable. I recognize there are a lot of triggers and a lot of ways that you can kind of justify the fast movement of that relationship, right? There is a thing in cinema as love at first sight or experience. He was definitely romantically triggered by her willingness to learn and him being brought in as a tutor. It's very much kind of educating Rita vibe, right? Like he just has that's the turn on, it feels like, for him. But the fact that it moves so quickly, and it felt like it was all in service of like the coda punchline at the end when they're pulled over by the cops and the cop says, "Give me your license," and he hands over their marriage license. It was almost as if the punchline was written before the gag, right, before the joke. And that just maybe I'm just cynical about these kinds of speedy romances, but I did not believe it. I did not find him as magnetically charming, maybe, as I would have needed to. He felt a little bit milquetoast for me as a romantic foil. I don't know. How about you? I can see all that. I also didn't really have a problem with it. I thought that it was fine for the movie that we had. Yeah. I like William Holden. I think he's great. In one of two movies we'll be talking about this series, I certainly prefer him in the other one, that being Sunset Boulevard. Yeah. But still, I thought he was fine here. And I did think it was interesting in the scope of it that Billie struggles reading without her glasses. And so this was like one of the first times you see the reverse of the typical trope of the cute woman, but she wears glasses, and the protagonist or the guy finally convinces her to take her glasses off, and suddenly now he falls in love with her. Yes. This was kind of the reverse, where she doesn't wear the glasses and he gets her to wear them finally, and they end up falling in love and getting married. So I thought that was kind of funny. She becomes intellectually attractive and celebratory of that. I did not make that connection, Andy. That's brilliant. This is the reverse. Yeah. I wonder how many movies do that. Yeah, clearly not many, because they loved having the women take off their glasses. Yeah. But I liked that she put her glasses on and then they fell in love. So, I can see the issues with the relationship. I guess for me, in the scope of this kind of that romantic comedy element of the story, it played fine. Like, it worked fine for me. I was happy to see her get away from Harry. And
but in a way that also didn't feel like we have to escape in the middle of the night or anything like that. Like I was actually kind of surprised. They set up this whole thing for Paul to sneak into Harry's room. She's talking to Harry and the lawyer in one of the apartments. They've got, this was a production code thing where the studio required them to, since they weren't married, they couldn't sleep in the same place. George Cukor very much complained about this element, but thought that it played well in the scope of things. It made it fun. So Paul steals the stuff out of Harry's room while she has them distracted. They go to look for the paperwork after Paul had left, and she just flat out tells them, oh, well, yeah, Paul just took it. Like, I'm like, interesting. Like, it always surprised me with things like that. She's just like, yeah, we took it. What are you going to do about it? I loved that the story wasn't afraid to kind of take those steps. And that whole escape from Harry was just very like, she just told him, like, this tough, I'm leaving. You can't do anything to me. They threatened Paul, couldn't do anything to Paul. It's like, okay, this was actually, I thought, smartly put together. I liked the way that played.
I did too. It was very believable. And I think it goes back to the sort of gestalt of the movie, which is like, bullies be bullies, and bullies can't handle it when they're pushed back, right? And that's exactly what they do together. Through intellect and cleverness, they push back on a bully, and he doesn't know what to do, because this movie is also, it celebrates intelligence, and he is not. He is not intelligent, right? He is not wise. And he thinks he is. And this movie pushes back on that ego in a way that I also find very satisfying. And that's what makes it even more surprising that it's a movie of this period. This movie is taking swings and sort of punching out of its class in a way that surprised me.
Yeah. Again, feeling very current, intellect and cleverness pushing back on a bully and how much it bothers them.
Weird. It's just weird. Why did somebody just... I can't.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a great movie. I really had a good time with it. I'm glad that I'm glad that I finally watched it. I feel like it needs to be something I check out more, just because of how delightful I found Judy Holliday. Like, from beginning to end, she was just wonderful. And like you said, it takes that beginning to understand what you're getting into. Yeah. But then once it gets going, you're like, oh, okay, I can go along for this ride. And I thought that was really good. Great surprise.
I did too. It really, it's such a funny paradox, this movie, because it's celebrating this like empowerment on a number of different levels, not just kind of feminist levels. And yet it just doesn't quite understand equality on many levels, not just feminist levels, but wealth, power, political influence. All of sort of the layers of the onion of influence, it's trying to pull apart in a way that it's doing so 75 years ahead of its time. Who knew?
Yeah. What did you think of the story of the lawyer? This is, we have this, I already mentioned him, but Jim, the lawyer who is getting paid $100,000 a year in $1950
to sell himself
by
out.
Harry, to sell himself out and to do everything that Harry wants. How did that play for you?
Well, that may be the most prescient part, right? The number of pundits who have sold out for perceived power and influence. What I love the most about him and his sort of anchor in the movie is that he is self-aware. And we don't often have publicly self-aware sellouts. That is a rarity today. And so I think Howard St. John plays this delicately, thoughtfully, and yet, honestly, to what I would hope his inner voices, like someone going through this, their inner voice would be telling them. right? That he was not blind to the fact that he is complicit in all of this. So I found his performance really wonderful.
It's definitely an interesting element that we explore here. And we even get a little bit at the end of Billie as she's talking to each of them, like Harry and the lawyer. And it's just like, I'm kind of more sad for you because you've given yourself over to this, and you just totally have sold yourself out. And again, as you were saying, like the way that he plays it, I think, is reflective of this person who completely hates himself, yet still can't stop, right? Like he won't get out of it. Like he knows that he needs to for his own soul to heal and whatever, but he just won't. And that's, I thought, a fascinating element with this guy.
Yeah, I do too. You only to the degree to which you believe, and this is maybe even the cynical response to that, you believe that somebody in his position would not be able to rebound after an experience like this. And I think what we've learned is over the last 75 years that smart attorneys can sell themselves out and then write new chapters that follow.
Yeah.
Right. So I can be sad for him for a bit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's easy to also not be sad for him. It's like,
you totally did it.
It was interesting because they said, wasn't he, I can't remember the line, but it's something like, wasn't he set up to be like the, I don't know, some big legal position for the government. And instead he ended up taking this.
Yeah.
And so again, that just speaks to this person finding it very easy to sell out for a massive amount of money and to acknowledge like, yeah, I could have done more, but here I am and I'll keep taking the money.
Yeah.
Even though I feel bad about it, but I'm still not going to stop.
Yeah. That's really interesting. You know, it's funny. It's like we get this rebuke of political ignorance and corruption through this rom-com that is framed around the education of a dumb blonde, right? In quotes, heavy quotes. And the foil, the romantic foil he's charming enough, but the guy that I find myself thinking about the most is the complicit dirty attorney. I don't understand how the movie could be so insightful and the character, the only character, I guess that's it. The thing to celebrate is that there is one character with self-awareness from the beginning, and that's the guy that I celebrate, not because I idealize him, but because I just appreciate that he was written with self-awareness when no one else is.
Well, I mean, I would say Paul is, but it's not very interesting. The fact that he's a goody-goody and he's self-aware. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
It's like less interesting. Yeah.
He hasn't done anything wrong. And that's what makes the self-awareness. Who cares?
Right. Exactly. Right. Exactly. There's also, an element of the kind of the upstairs downstairs that we have here that I thought, I mean, they never really explore, but it was interesting that you have Billie in a small part kind of latch on to Helen, her maid, and she's talking to her a lot and kind of sharing stuff with her. And Harry gets mad at her for being so open with the help. Yet Helen is also the one who shows her like the back access to make it easier for her to get from room to room. And is also one who's like passes by a few times and is hearing what they're talking about. I loved the scene where Harry is blowing up at Billie, and then Helen walks in and sees that they're in the middle of a fight and like kind of hurries to get out the other side. And then later in the fight, she comes back through and they have to stop and wait for her to leave. But I don't know, the kind of that element of the story I thought was just an interesting one to include, knowing who Billie is, that she's not somebody who, like, she feels kind of totally comfortable. She feels more comfortable just having a conversation with Helen the maid than she does with the congressman's wife, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's interesting, like, is there an element of we're kind of like that moving, you know, the story of a I'm blanking on kind of the type of story, but like not Prince and the Pauper, but something like that where maybe it is like where the poor person is now put into the rich person's world and has to learn how to live there a little bit. I mean, that's in a sense part of what the story is, right? She's this showgirl who is put into, again, not Harry's world per se, but certainly Paul is trying to teach her how to engage with Congress people and things like that. And so I don't know, I guess I'm not sure what my point is, but I think there's an interesting element of kind of like that, the poor mouse, rich mouse sort of story.
Poor mouse, rich mouse.
Country mouse, city mouse.
Yeah, okay. All right. Babe Pig in the City?
Yeah, I'm all over the place with whatever this point is.
I think I get it. I think I get it. It just moved around. It moved the goal line a little bit.
I know.
Well, I really appreciated all of that.
Whatever that point was.
Yes, whatever it was, I'm in the bag for it.
And I guess there is a little bit of country mouse because her dad is from small town America, right? And she left to go, perform and became a showgirl. And that's where Harry met her and picked her up. And now she's living this life of great wealth, but her dad's a farmer. So I guess there is a little bit of that. So maybe my point makes more sense than even I realized at the time.
Even you realized, right? I love it when it comes back around like that. I didn't even mean to be so smart.
That's right. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think it's a great movie. And, it's a shame. Judy Holliday, this is just an interesting note because she had been on the stage with this. Mm-hmm. They didn't want her to be on the film. This was that period where they're like, oh, you're a stage performer. You don't know how to be a movie star. We can't have you just jump to the movies. This is the whole thing with Julie Andrews and what was the My Fair Lady, right? Where they're like, oh, well, we can't put you in this. And then she goes and does Mary Poppins and proved them wrong. Yeah. This is that same sort of story where they didn't want her to be in it. They were looking at all these other people. Katharine Hepburn had seen her and it was like, she's perfect for the part. You have to cast her in it. She would be great. And so convinced, along with Garson Kanin, to cast her in Adam's Rib, which came out the year before. And so they had... so he co-wrote with his wife at the time, Ruth Gordon, a part just for her in the film Adam's Rib, which she ended up getting like a Golden Globe nomination for. And that was enough to finally convince Harry Cohn at the studio, oh, I guess she could be okay. And so they ended up casting her in this finally. There was also some... she was one of those actors who had been going to some communist meetings and such, along with Garson Kanin at the time. And that was another thing that they were nervous about. The fact that like, oh, is she going to be one of these people who's going to get us in trouble because, she's one of these people going to the, communist things and all that sort of thing.
Yeah. At a time when the, Red Scare is not, a figment.
No, right. This is definitely the time where the blacklist is just around the corner, so.
Right.
Yeah.
And a Hays Code, like it's culturally, Hollywood is at a crossroads right now as this movie is coming out, and it is poking at all of the things pretty hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I was, again, so surprised that they were able to get the line in where she's just like, are you a talker or do you want to, do something or whatever? It's like, interesting. Like I'm surprised that line got in the film, but
yeah. Me too.
But sadly, and I guess, from watching this video, this YouTube video, I'll put a link in the show notes for it. Judy Holliday actually sounds like she was a genius. Like she's a very, very intelligent woman. But after this, she was hoping to get more parts. She's like, I don't want to play any more idiots. Like I want to play a smart person now. But because of all of these different studios feeling nervous about hiring her because of her time with these communist groups, she had to take whatever came along. And so she ended up playing a lot of other idiots. And so she was, I think, frustrated with her time in Hollywood and the sort of work that she was getting, which was, unfortunate. And she died at the age of 43, 15 years after this film, from breast cancer. So very short career, but, and this is the only thing I've seen of her.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but she was great. She was fantastic.
Looking at some more stuff. I'd like to see more of what she brings to these characters in general. I'm especially knowing what she went through at that point. It's fascinating.
Yeah, really. All right. Any other points? Anything else?
That's all I got. Let's do it.
Oh, all right. Well, we'll be right back. But first, our credits.
The Next Reel is a production of True Story FM, engineering by Andy Nelson, music by Alana Hanna, Vakislav Draganov, Ty Simon, Oriel Novella, and Eli Catlin. Andy usually finds all the stats for the awards and numbers at the-numbers.com, boxofficemojo.com, imdb.com, and wikipedia.org. Find the show at truestory.fm, and if your podcast app allows ratings and reviews, please consider doing that for our show.
You were very sing-songy. imdb.com.
I know. I'm feeling it. Is it me? Is it you? Who is it?
It's me, right? Letterboxd?
Sure. Do it.
I did the right one, right?
I did membership.
Okay. Then hold on. I started doing something and I shouldn't have. Now I have to find ye old script. All right, here we go. I have not reread this in a while. I wrote this like last week. Let's see how I do. Movie lovers, do you live for the thrill of the Oscar race? Do you relish the excitement of a competition where there's no clear frontrunner and every contender brings something unique and spectacular to the table? If so, you're not alone, and Letterboxd is here to help you dive even deeper into the exhilaration of award season. There's something special about a year when the Best Actress category is stacked with incredible performances, each one a testament to the power and artistry of cinema. It's a time when movie lovers come together to debate, discuss, and celebrate the films and performances that have captured our hearts and imaginations. And that's where Letterboxd comes in, a platform designed to enhance and enrich your love of movies. With Letterboxd, you can join a passionate community of film enthusiasts, sharing your thoughts and predictions on the Oscar race. Engage in friendly debates, making your case for favorite performances, and discover new perspectives that deepen your appreciation for the art of film. But Letterboxd isn't just about the Oscars. It's a year-round celebration of cinema. Discover hidden gems, explore the rich history of filmmaking, and stay up to date on the latest and greatest in the world of movies. With personalized recommendations, detailed reviews, and a vibrant community of fellow movie lovers, Letterboxd is your ultimate companion on your cinematic journey. And now they're offering an exclusive deal to make your Letterboxd experience even more. I shouldn't say exclusive, actually. And now they have a great deal to make your Letterboxd experience even better. Head over to thenextreel.com/letterboxd or sign up directly on Letterboxd and use the code NEXTREEL to score a sweet 20% off your membership. This code works for both new signups and renewals, so everyone can join in on the fun. With a Letterboxd Pro or Patron membership, you'll have access to a wealth of features that will take your movie watching experience to the next level. From ad-free browsing to personalized stats and streaming service notifications. From ad-free browsing to personalized stats and streaming service notifications, you'll be fully equipped to navigate the thrilling world of cinema. So what are you waiting for? Join the Letterboxd community today and experience the excitement of the Oscar race like never before. Visit thenextreel.com/letterboxd or sign up on Letterboxd now with the code NEXTREEL and let the movie magic begin.
Nice.
Not very exciting, but I was a little hesitant to throw in a high-pitched New York accent. I was like, Pete's going to be the one who does that if anyone does.
Honestly, I think we'll know it when we get there. For mine, I don't think I've really come to terms with what he's going to be today.
All right.
Oh my God. You started doing yours. I was like, I'm going to make some edits to mine right now.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Andy, sequels and remakes. This is quite a list.
Well, it's just because it's a play. And I think when you have a play, it ends up, there's a lot of it. But first, before that, I already mentioned, we talked about it a little bit at the beginning, the remake of this, but it did take some time to get going. Garson Kanin was trying for decades to do an updated remake of this. It went through Bette Midler, Barbra Streisand, Whoopi Goldberg. There was a musical version that would have perhaps included Bernadette Peters or Dolly Parton. Frank Sinatra was on as potentially playing Harry Brock, but nothing ended up coming to fruition. They finally, as we already said, in 1993, directed by Louis Mandoki, made a version with Melanie Griffith, Don Johnson, and John Goodman. Very poorly received. So I don't think it's one we'll ever add to our movies in the remakes series, just to have it on the list. But as I said,
Andy, a musical. Yeah. I was born yesterday. Oh, I can hear it now. I can hear it now.
Yeah, I know you can. I know. But the play did go on to have a number of revivals. This originally was 1946. Then in the West End in 1947, a revival by Princeton University's Summer Theater in 1950, by the Negro Drama Group in 53-54. They had all sorts of productions in the early 70s because of Watergate. And then they had a Broadway revival in 1989 and yet another Broadway revival in 2011. So it certainly has had its run. I'd be curious to see how a revisioning in today's modern political environment would be received.
It's called Watch the News.
Oh, dear, yes.
How to do it award season.
Well, this is part of the reason we are here for this series. It had 7 wins with 10 other nominations. At the Oscars, Judy Holliday won Best Actress. She wasn't present at the awards, but watched it with several nominees in New York, including Gloria Swanson, also nominated. In Hollywood, Ethel Barrymore accepted on her behalf. It was nominated for Best Director, but lost to All About Eve. Best Writing, lost to All About Eve. Best Costume, lost to All About Eve. And Best Picture, lost to All About Eve. All About
Eve sounds like a real banger, Andy, a real humdinger.
Yeah, right. Well, if you're picking a movie based on them actually saying the title, All About Eve is the one to pick. At the Golden Globes, it was nominated for Best Picture, but actually lost to Sunset Boulevard. Best Director lost to Sunset Boulevard. Best Actress, this is interesting. Judy Holliday was nominated for Best Actress Drama and lost to Gloria Swanson in Sunset Boulevard.
Right.
Judy Holliday was also nominated for Best Actress in a Comedy or Musical and won. Isn't that interesting? Nominated in both categories. I thought that was really interesting.
I think that's really interesting. Something that maybe the Emmys could learn for The Bear.
I wonder when I wonder when the Golden Globes figured out that they needed to stop having people nominated in both categories.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, okay, we are here. Maybe we should save our conversation for who we think should have won, for our final episode.
Yeah.
When we talk about Sunset Boulevard, that'll be our last of this series. Then we should have a conversation about who we think should have won.
Nice. Okay. Then you should tell me about, God, Andy, the sweet, sweet, sweet ducats that came in for this movie. How did it do at the box office?
Oh, Pete. The budget curse of season 15 continues.
This is the ultimate own goal. You picked these movies.
I know. I don't pick them. I never go, I'm going to pick them based on which budgets I could find. That would be
maybe
interesting.
You should.
Maybe I should.
Maybe you
should.
should.
Yeah. For this film, there is no information as to what Cukor had to make it. The only clue is that there was essentially a bidding war to get the rights to Garson Kanin's Broadway play, and Columbia ended up paying $750,000 plus a percentage of the profits in 1947. That makes this the second most paid for screen rights at that time, right behind $1 million paid for Harvey. What's interesting is that the contract included a profit share from its intended release year of 1947. Well, this film ended up being put on the shelf for a while because of the casting issues. It makes me wonder if partly was shelved as long as it was that so that Columbia could avoid paying profit share to Kanin. I don't know. Anyway, That's all I have. They paid a lot for the rights, so I'm assuming they didn't cheap out on the production.
What is next season going to be like? I think next season is just you doing blockbusters. Just everything post 1981.
Yeah. Things that I can find budgets for. Oh my gosh. Well, I love this movie. I had a great time with it. It does have some issues with some of the politics, the Capra-esque tour of DC and everything, but I still had such a great time. And absolutely put Judy Holliday's performance as an easy fave.
Absolutely, I agree. She's a winner. I'm so glad I stuck it out and didn't just curse your name for 90 minutes for making me watch this movie. It was great. Great.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, that is it for today's conversation. Next week, we're looking at the next film with the Best Actress nomination, John Cromwell's Caged, for which Eleanor Parker received her first of 3 Best Actress nominations. We'll be right back for our ratings.
All right. Do you ever notice how things work in Washington? Some people write the laws, some people break the laws, and some people just buy influence. Well, good news. This is one influence peddling scheme that's actually encouraged. Join the Next Reel family of film podcasts today, and for just $5 a month or $55 a year, you'll get ad-free episodes, early releases, extended editions, and live member streams across our shows. The Next Reel, Sitting in the Dark, Movies We Like, CinemaScope, The Film Board, The Works. All of our cinematic caucus. You can think of it as your legislative earmark for better movie talk. No filibusters, no lobbyists, just hours of intelligent film discussion, delivered straight to your feed before anyone else even sees the bill. That's right. If you're feeling particularly powerful, become a top-shelf donor. Get in the pack of podcast perks, complete with the warm glow of knowing you're backing independent film conversation without a single shady contribution. Don't let the ignorance lobby your brain. Head to thenextreel.com/membership. No, don't do that. Head to truestory.fm/join and sign the only legislation that actually benefits you, the Next Reel Membership Act of 2025. Because in this town, knowledge is power, and membership is the only influence money should buy. Wow. You know, you win some and you lose some, Andy. Sometimes you win, and then sometimes other times you lose.
I don't know. I liked the Next Reel Act.
Yeah. I did not put enough time in to make it an acronym. It's TNRMA. Turnma. Turnma. All right. Letterboxd, Andy, letterboxd.com/thenextreel. That's where you can find our HQ page where we put our reviews and our ratings of the movies we've talked about on this show. We're going to apportion our stars and hearts today for this movie. We're going to redistrict the stars and hearts for this movie. Where do you stand? What are you going to do?
Or is it are we gerrymandering to figure out how we can get the right numbers of stars?
Well, that's what I'm doing.
I loved this. I had so much fun with this. Yes, I acknowledge that there are some elements that may not work as well, but I still had an absolute blast with it. So I'm going to do 4.5. I'm going to go high.
Okay. No, I like your high. My problem was William Holden. I did not find quite so charming enough that I'm going to bring the William Holden charm factor is going to bring this down to a 4 with a heart for me. But still, that's effectively a 4.5 because I don't do half stars.
Oh, and it's higher than I thought. I thought, based on your initial comments, I thought you were going to be at a 3 with this one.
No, Andy, my initial comments were I didn't like her for the first few minutes. I came around
I know,
pretty
then
quick.
You're like, it's a fossil. Like, there were some comments that I was like,
fossil,
okay.
but in the best possible way.
I love seeing dinosaur fossils at the museum.
Dinosaur fossils. Yeah, it was a win.
Yeah, well, I thought it was great. So that's going to average out to 4.25, which will round up to 4.5 over at our account on Letterboxd, which you can find at the next reel. You can find me there at Soda Creek Film, and you can find Pete there at Pete Wright. So what did you think about Born Yesterday? We would love to hear your thoughts. Hop into the Show Talk channel over in our Discord community where we will be talking about the movie this week.
When the movie ends,
our conversation begins.
Letterboxd giveth, Andrew.
As Letterboxd always doeth.
All right. How'd you do your filter today?
I just was scrolling through based on review activity. I didn't sort it in any particular fashion. I ended up at a 3.5 though.
Okay. 3.5, right in the middle. Interesting. Go ahead.
3.5 by Horror Barbie, who says this: pay someone to educate your girl, she realizes you're a piece of crap. Very simple and to the point. Yeah, that's pretty much what happens here.
Okay. All right. Well, I've got something from somebody named Esme. Let's see if you can make sense of this with that name. It's a 1 star.
Okay. You went low. Okay.
I did go low. This movie makes no sense. And my mom said it's something like misogynistic. She covered my eyes during the part she said was, quote, domestic abuse. 1 star, because I totally related to the title. I was not born yesterday, per se, when I saw the film, but I was 4 days old. Close enough.
Huh.
Go ahead. What do you think? What do you think of that?
I don't even understand. Like, I feel like, is this somebody whose entire persona on Letterboxd is a child?
It is. Let me read the bio.
Okay.
I'm literally a 7-month-old baby. These are the movies I really do watch with my screenwriter parents. Every movie is the first time watch. Duh. Born March 2025.
Wow.
There's a whole vibe. Yeah.
That's an interesting angle to take with your Letterboxd profile. I'm going to do everything through the eyes of my 7-month-old child.
Yeah.
So I wonder, over time, inevitably there will be rewatches, and I wonder if we'll actually see. I wonder if we'll see a growth in the preferences and things. And it's interesting that Esme is watching things like Born Yesterday and not Madagascar or Despicable Me.
Like, for example, here's the latest review of Splitsville from 2025. 3 stars. Polyamory in indie movies is like Miss Rachel in the baby world. Ubiquitous, litigated, but generally harmless and uninteresting. That's like a lot of, it just exudes a sort of world weariness that I don't normally expect from 7-month-old babies. Well, but I like it. I'm here for it.
Esme does have screenwriter parents, Pete.
Esme thinks of Man Up in 2015. Lake Bell's British accent and Simon Pegg as a romantic lead are about as convincing as when I wear running shoes as a baby who can't even crawl. So again, as a celebrant of self-awareness, I'm here for these reviews.
Yeah. Give me the one with the budgets. I'll follow that one. You follow Esme.
Okay, that sounds great.
Okay.
All right. That's
No,
it,
you got to
right?
say your line.
Oh, okay. Letterbox. Thank you. You've been great today. We appreciate you. Heard.